extent of your powers, little one. Now you will watch me draw upon the power of the universe to send that child into the netherworld. Now place it on the altar.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to RPG Boons. This is Don Franco 3. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a plagiamatics. So I wanted to go over this ultimate role play point by system. If you haven't had a chance, you can watch the video and see where it comes from. Essentially, I stole it from Pathfinder, right? So sometimes when, we're playing a game system such as Dungeons and Dragons, or any other system, we're basically narrowed, focused into our one system, right? So this is really kind of one of those RPG boons where I hope people who do not play outside of Dungeons and Dragons would see it and then see how Pathfinder does it, Pathfinder 2nd edition, and see how good it is, right? So that's kind of the point of the ultimate point by system. So here's kind of the it is the title page. I go back and often modify these little title pages, these thumbnails, but whatever. This is what it currently is right now. So it's D6 stat rolls are outdated. And I literally posted, I'm stealing from Pathfinder. So if you go through the video, we show where the D6 stat roll method came from. It's essentially an artifact from the old school first Dungeons and Dragons with Gary Gygax and Arneson. And back then you would roll your stats, and based on the numbers, right, you would roll them down the line, right? So it would be strength, constitution, dexterity, wisdom, intelligence, and charisma, or whatever the order is. 3d6, no rerolls, and then based on those numbers, you had to choose a class, right? And you immediately saw by the time we get to the first edition of Gary Gygax's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the methods are off the rails, right? So I can actually pull that up here. It looks a little messy just because this is my working tab, but you can clearly see that, of course, there was lots of different methods, right? So we have the 46 minus 1, which is, everybody knows that one, but look at this. 3d6 are rolled 12 times and the high 6 are used, right? So that's pretty good. But then check out this. 36 3d6 freaking rolls. 3d6 are rolled 6 times for each ability score, and the highest score in each category are retained for that category. So Gygax approved of trying to create super strong characters here, right? You have 6 different rolls for each ability score. Anyhow, I think, at the point by system is really the way to go, I think, because I have like another presentation where I probably might do it in December, that I talk about how much time do you actually have during the day, and what you can actually accomplish in a given day, right? And that had more to do with what systems to buy for Dungeons and Dragons. I think it's obviously all of us, there's only 24 hours a day. Some of us, such as myself, don't need as much sleep as others. So, but if we're thinking you sleep 4 hours versus 10 hours, you're only awake so many days of the week, right? So many hours during the day, and then you have to spend that time getting ready. And I guess back in the day, in those fantasy ages, you didn't really shower much. You didn't spend a lot of time getting ready or getting pretty, unless I guess you're a bard or some charisma based character. But basically, you only have so much time in a given day. So then the point of the point by system is that everybody starts equally in terms of how much time they have to train. And because it is true, some people decide to sit on a couch and watch TV, which is fine. I do it. I watch fantasy series and movies. Or there's also very unique people, like perhaps, I don't know if you've heard of Goggins. He's a very extreme gentleman, a motivational speaker, but he seems to have a very tight schedule. And there are people out there that have very tight schedules where basically they work at home, they're always texting the business, and you probably are this person or you know somebody like this. But basically, if you're a hero though in the Dungeons and Dragons game, I believe you to be the person who's always doing business, right? Your goal is to stay alive and utilize all the time you have during the day to be training and to be a better warrior, adventurer, and anybody else who doesn't do that are NPCs, right? So why would you bother rolling stats and risking having very low statistics? And clearly Gygax also knew that people didn't like this. I still think this 36 rolls to create a character, awesome, but very forgiving. So I want to show the point buy system just to do the applied geomatics to actually show every time you create a character that you could get a certain level of versatility in those numbers. And so we'll create like, let's say a barbarian and a fighter. We're not going to full create, we're just going to show the ability scores and use the point buy, but at least show that you can have a little bit of diversity in your characters statistics or ability scores using the point buy system. So here's the basic overlay, right? So I put in a base score of 10, and then if you really want, you can, to get a couple more points, you can reduce any one of your base scores 10s up to 2 points, and then you can distribute those 2 points either 2 and 1 ability or 1 and 1 and 2 different abilities. So it's really up to you. Of course, I do this because I don't believe in commoners. A commoner, let me take this, it probably shouldn't be here, but I do this because I don't believe commoners should be stronger than your PC, right? This is a commoner statistic, 10s all across the board, and you're telling me that your hero has to suck on one of these statistics. I don't know if I buy it. So base scores of 10, you can then decide whether or not you want to drop and go down to a more well, I guess, what would you say, a mediocre score. So we're gonna go ahead and just so I also posted this, I go to different forums. There's a main one I go to, but I'm not going to really say what it is, but I go there, I post, I try to post videos, or I try to post these formulas, and I do get different types of feedback. Some people agree with, the use of the point buy system. Some people think that you should just roll. You can see the different types of comments I got sometimes, so you can see that some people think you should just do it. Some people have a mixture of the point buy versus the dice system, but that's all fair in game. So let's go ahead and get started. This is just applied geomatics. We're going to take that point buy system and we're going to apply it to a few different classes just to show that it works really well. And on top of that, there are some people that are indecisive, but if you're rolling up to 36 dice, or you're constantly having to re-rolling stats, this is a good way to customize your character and maybe potentially even do it faster. But I think the customization is probably the key. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to put in various types of classes. So I'm just going to put barbarian, and we'll make 2 different characters, barbarians. Okay, we'll also make a couple of fighters. Now the fighters are going to be a little bit easier to show, because I think fighters can be one of the most versatile characters, just because you can use strength or dexterity as your main fighting ability, right? So we can actually use wizard here, what's another one? Charisma, wizards, intelligence, bard. Why not? Oops, caps locked. All right, so we're just going to do these really quick. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the chart that I provided in the video, where you can actually go and just look at these and get a sense of we get the actual ability scores that you're going to increase. So the first one we're going to do is Barbarian. I think a lot of people maybe, oh look, this is interesting, they have recommended classes for all the different skills. But you know, barbarians, they're going to be a fighter type class, so here they're recommending soldier. I actually have done hermit in the past, because I think that's a really good barbarian who's out there. So let's do a hermit and a soldier. So hermit, we're going to get 3 points from here. You can see you go across, and the 3 points are going to go to Constitution, Wisdom, or Charisma. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the first barbarian, hermit. Charisma, Wisdom, Constitution, 3 points. I do like having a higher Wisdom type of character, because we know that perception plays a pretty good role, or critical role, in D&D. Let me just double check in real quick. It is Wisdom, so I'm gonna do some Constitution and Wisdom, right? So I think I'm gonna increase my Constitution by 2 and just my Wisdom by 1. Okay, I know I'm still in the +0 phase of the ability scores, but again, we're just gonna create a character here. So the next thing I want to do is I want to take this guy and I want to create, look at my various types of races. We know we are strength-based character. Let's just go human, all right? Not the variant, let's go human and do +1s all across the board. So 1, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1. All right, and then the next thing we're gonna do is pick our class, right? So we're a barbarian. Our primary stats are gonna be strength. Now, originally I put just to the primary, but in the video I said you can also throw those 4 points into either Constitution, other whatever your save ability scores are. So you can do your primary ability and also look at these here. And the barbarian was the one that I showed as an example of. So I think you can see this, right? It says strength for primary ability, saves are strength and Constitution. So I'm going to put 4 points in either of those. And we know again that the barbarian is a strength-based character, and so maybe we want to do that. Going back here, 4 points. Okay, you know, I think I want to get his strength up there. So I'm gonna go down. I'm just gonna give all 4 points to the 15 so that I can get, you know, a stronger character. It's a strength-based character. So at this point, we've picked all the different backgrounds, right? We've picked human. We picked our class. Now we need that maximum RP. Now I included this here because I think this is a good way to think about your character's background. This is maximum roleplay. RPG boons were all about roleplay. At least I think everything about D&D, even the numbers, the statistics, the changes, they give you descriptions usually about how those ability score improvements are derived. And so here's just examples. You look at the 6 different ability scores and various ways to think about those. So we're going to do maximize RP, 5 points. We're not going to just, you know, I'm going to be a, we know that in the previous video I talked about armor class and the role of Constitution. So we know that's important for Constitution. We can do some boulder tossing, some chopping wood. We're the standard barbarian. We were a hermit. And I think that is likely, and plus maybe some wisdom, right? You have to be observer. You're an outdoors person, or that's a hermit, sounds like to me. So I think I'm going to distribute those points that way. And so I really want to get some bonuses on my strength. So you know what? I'm going to go to 17. That's 2 points. Constitution. Let's go. You know what? Let's break this mold. Yeah, so this what I believe this writes 10, 11, 12, 13. So what do I want? I want more hit points. It's already used 2. Now I'm gonna use 3 more. So I'm gonna do, I guess I'll do 2 here and 1 here, and at least that'll get me closer to did I do that correctly? Yes. Okay, so that'll get me closer to at least getting a bonus point the very next time, right? Level 4, we get some bonus points, ability score, so then we can improve. Now let's do the other. We're gonna do a soldier barbarian. We'll make him human just for, actually, let's make him a dwarf. And then we're gonna, you know, we're not gonna type out anything here because we don't want to spend too much time watching me type. So we're gonna go in and pick barbarian again. We're gonna get 4 points, right? So 4 points to strength. So this is, we're gonna immediately, well, actually, I know that my dwarf, I think it's the mountain dwarf. So I'll put MO for mountain, gets a +2 on strength already. So let's look at that soldier background real quick. Soldier background, strength, dexterity, wisdom, all important, 3 points there. So 3 points there. I'm gonna add 2 to my strength. I'm gonna add 1 to dexterity, and then these of course are still 10. Let's go ahead and pop those in. And that takes care of soldier. Our barbarian again gives us strength, so we're gonna get 4 points to either strength or constitution. But I want to look at the dwarf first because the dwarf gives us our ability, our racial points. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Where are we here? Apologies, real quick. Here we go. Aha, it was the mountain dwarf, right? Did I put mountain? I believe I did. I might have said hill though. So anyways, it's +2 strength, +2 constitution. So let's go ahead and do that. +2 strength, +2 constitution. All right, and then so we've chosen dwarf, we've got soldier. Now we need those 4 points to barbarian, and remember those ability scores are strength or constitution. So at this point we got 4 points, and you know, we could distribute 3 here, 1 there. That would make us identical, or we can just break. We still got the 5 points to give out, by the way. All right, did I give that out here? Oh God. Okay, so we're gonna do 5 points. So 4 points for the class. Let's just go ahead and make him an 18 strength. Okay, that's gonna get rid of all of 4 points for barbarian. And now we got our 5 points for role play, right? What do we want? Well, I think I want this guy to be a little more dexterous. So we're definitely gonna break the 15, 14. What is it? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's 3 points here. And then we're not gonna be very good at this other stuff. So I've already spent 3 points here and I wanna do 2 more points. Let's do constitution. Oops. So there you go. Now these are 2 different barbarians using the point buy system. Dwarf barbarian, higher strength, higher dexterity, higher constitution, but the charisma, wisdom, and intelligence are more mediocre, more average, or whatever. So that works, right? That works out pretty good. Now we're gonna, I guess I was gonna go through all these, but for the sake of time, of course, I like to keep these unless we're doing the in vivo Age of Ruin in vivo play along series. I want to keep these videos a little short, so let's go and look at the wizard. Okay, because the barbarian and the fighter are somewhat in the same range. The bard, it's like a jack of all trades, so you can really flavor your bard, I think. But it is a charisma based character, I believe. So but let's just look at the wizard. This one's strength-based, intelligence-based. So let's look at the wizard. We're also going to do background first. What was a wizard before? Maybe ours was a scribe. These seem to make sense, right? I mean, does it make sense? I guess we like to choose backgrounds that boost our ability scores. This is what we do anyways, right? So, but let's make it a little bit different. Maybe our wizard was a charlatan once. So we're gonna do charlatan, and then we'll do scribe, which is kind of more of a standard way of doing a wizard. So let's do charlatan and then scribe. And then we're gonna do high elf, I believe is the one with the, actually the scribe will do as a high elf. Which one has the intelligence bonus? Yep. We don't. I'm not a fan of gnomes and these little guys. I'm sorry. They're just tiny, and I think you guys, if you watch some of my videos, you probably know that I'm more about old school style penalties and bonuses for these races, just because it made more sense. Let's be a high elf. All right, so we're going to be a high elf. For the scribe, we want to maximize IQ here. And maybe we'll cheat a little. We'll do the gnome. The gnome has a +2. All right, so let's look at those again. So first, we have a wizard. So let's do a wizard. That's 4 points. Wizard is going to have intelligence or wisdom to add those 4 points. We already know intelligence is the way to go, so let's just go to max them out here. Use all our points there. Let's go and put these in. These are our basic class stat. Okay. Where's the 0? How come no 0 is being punched in? Okay, that's a little weird. That's interesting. Did I miss? I know. Worst part about in vivo is you get to watch me fumble about the keyboard. And we know that the wizard also here. So we're going to go back to base here. We're going to let both of them. Actually, let's switch it up a little bit of intelligence, a little bit of wisdom. Okay, now we're going to go to the charlatan background. 3 points to dexterity, constitution, or charisma. Dexterity, constitution, or charisma. Dexterity, constitution, or wisdom. So often we know that the is it constitution? Where are we? Dexterity or constitution? We want to keep our wizard safe. It's 3 points. Let's give him 2 and 1 here. All right. Now let's do our scribe. That's, wait, that was dexterity. What was the other one? The shard. Dexterity, constitution, charisma. The scribe is dexterity, intelligence, wisdom. Dexterity, intelligence, wisdom. Dexterity, intelligence, wisdom. We want to do, again, dexterity. We'll do 2 here. And we're going to bring this up to 14. That's 3 points. Okay, now we're going to add our racial bonuses, which for the gnome, which I think we're just going to do, you know what? Let's do a forest gnome for the first one, I believe. Yep, forest gnome. So let's just put a FO here. And then we're going to add +1 dexterity, +2 intelligence. So +1 dexterity, intelligence. And for our high elf, we have +2 dexterity, +1 intelligence, +2 dexterity. +1 intelligence. Okay, now we have those final 4 points. We know that we need intelligence, and just to kind of keep it fair, I don't even know if it's fair. We're just trying to make them comparable. I'm going to give 2 points to each of these. That makes this 18, this 17, and clearly this elf down here is a little bit more on the dexterous side, so we're going to give him a 16 armor class. Meanwhile, this other character is a little more well-rounded, and we do want to get some type of bonus, so we're just going to give the points there. All right, so now we have 2 wizards. We gave them some maximum RP. Don't forget to look at our maximum RP chart to make sure you're giving them the best role play as possible. And these are our scores. So for 2 different wizards, one's a charlatan, one's a scribe, gnome, high elf, with their maximum RP bonuses. You can see these scores are not very identical. They can, you know, if you get 2 different people with 2 different ideas of how to create a story for their character, background, all that stuff, you're gonna get some variety in these scores. And this is a pretty good example, right? We have a more dexterous wizard versus a more well-rounded dexterous and constitutionally maybe a little more hit points for this wizard as it progresses. Much higher intelligence, 17, really good too, but we're getting obviously the +4 versus +3, and we have a slightly closer wizard, a wizard on the bottom for wisdom. So it really depends. We could potentially get at +2 points for level 4, knock our dude into the 18th range of intelligence, which I think would be the way to go, or choose a feat that would give you a +1 to intelligence and the other stuff that comes with it. So using the point buy system, there is a certain level of customization. I think this pretty much shows that you can have a diverse set of ability scores for your class with slightly different backgrounds and races. That really kind of helps out. On top of that, remember we have that 2 points that you can take away from any of these attributes. So if you don't really care to have a -1 on one of these, or just take -1 point, you can easily, you know, reduce one of these 10s. Here for the barbarian, the soldier, maybe he's a little less intelligent, straight brute, and we can easily add these to these other attributes. Similar with these wizards, we can have a drop in, you know, strength if you want, and add it to these, and you really start creating a little more diversity, I guess, or I guess, you know, people hate the word diversity. I don't fucking get it, but the point is you can have a wide range of numbers just by tweaking these little things, right? So I think the point buy system, we stole it from Pathfinder. It works really, really well. Here's the Pathfinder. I think you can see this. They did it the best. When I first read this many years ago, when I got the 2nd edition, not many years ago, but back when Pathfinder 2 came out, I read this and I thought this was brilliant. And I was a little sad when this is a straight screenshot that I found online, but I have the book. Actually, I think, yeah, it's right there. I don't know if you can't see it. It's cropped off. But yeah, you can see, I mean, I have my old school D&D, but then here's the player core. So I think the point buy system works. I think copying from Pathfinder is the way to go. We've shown that you can get some versatile different ability stats, and I think, you know, I would love to hear from you. Leave a comment here, leave a comment on the original video, but I think the point buy system is the way to go. If we're going to be allowed to roll 36 times to try to get the perfect character, right? Method 3, 3d6 are rolled 6 times for each ability, so that's 36 times. We might as well just use the point by system, right? I mean, and in fact, you might create an overly powerful character using this. And I guess I could do this, but I do have the virtual dice, but I'm not going to roll 36 times 3d6, right? Maybe that's for another video. All right, thank you for stopping by. This is RPG Boons. I'm Don Franco 3. We did catch the tail end of the Witching Hour, and I think in a couple days I'm going to do an Age of Ruin adventure to get another one in there, so you can build that background for your character. Do it the I'm drawing a blank right now. Witching Hour, I'm telling you, the Manganello way, and go to different DMs, go to different games, build that background. So thank you for stopping by.